This is the Sleep Historian. Each night we explore the echoes of the past, stories told slowly to calm the mind and ease you towards sleep. If you enjoy these quiet journeys through time, please like and subscribe, and let the next story begin. Before anything else, before cities or books or clocks, there is a plain of cold grass under a wide sky. Wind moves in slow sheets across low hills. Somewhere, a thin thread of smoke rises, pale against the dusk. It is not a signal to armies or ships. It is simply warmth. Time drifts back beyond calendars to the Upper Paleolithic, tens of thousands of years ago, when a small group of humans lives close to the seasons, the animals, and the edge of night. In this world, the distance between safety and danger can be measured in footsteps and in how well you keep a fire alive. The scene steadies on a shallow valley in Ice Age Europe, somewhere between about 30,000 and 20,000 years ago. The air is sharp and dry, and the light has a clean, low clarity. Mammoths, reindeer, horses, and bison leave dark trails across pale ground. A river, partly iced at the edges, runs with a quiet, steady sound. Humans here are not half-formed or simple. They are observant, adaptable, and careful. They make tools from stone, bone, and antler. They carry stories without writing them down, and they survive day after day by noticing small details that most modern eyes would pass without seeing. Time drifts closer, and you are walking with the group at first light. The ground is stiff with frost, and each breath feels cool in your nose. Somewhere ahead, a raven calls once, then goes quiet. People move without hurry, but with purpose. A child's hand grips a strip of hide, fingers pink from cold. An older person adjusts a fur wrap at the shoulder, the fabric soft and worn from use. There is no single cave that defines your life. Shelter changes with weather, with animals, with water. The world is your map, and your body remembers it. Every ridge and tree line has a meaning. The camera lingers on hands. A flint core rests on a knee, steady and familiar. A sharp strike sends a thin flake off with a clean, bright sound, like glass. Another flake follows, then another, until the edge becomes a tool that can cut sinew, scrape hide, shape wood. The air smells faintly of smoke and cold stone. Nearby, someone tests a point against a thumb. Not hard enough to bleed, just enough to feel the bite. Tools are not ornaments. They are time saved, energy saved, mistakes avoided. In a world where winter can last and food can fail, a good blade is calm reassurance. You move toward a temporary camp beside a stand of trees. The ground is darker here, softer underfoot. A few low shelters sit in a loose circle, frames of wood and bone covered with hides. Smoke drifts from a small fire pit, and the warmth is immediate as you step close. Someone feeds the flames with thin sticks, listening for the soft crackle that says the fire is healthy. A stone placed near the edge has been warmed and moved, over and over, until it is smooth from hands. A bowl made from bark holds water, trembling slightly as it's set down. This is home for now, not forever. Inside one shelter, the light is dim and amber. A child is half asleep, wrapped in fur, cheeks warm near the shared heat. Outside, wind brushes the hide wall in small taps. A person kneels over a hide stretched flat, scraping it with a tool until it becomes supple. The sound is steady, almost soothing. Another fingers a needle made of bone, threading sinew with patient precision. Clothing is not fashion, it is survival, and also comfort. A well-made seam keeps cold air from finding your ribs at night. A repaired boot keeps you moving when the ground is sharp. The smallest repairs carry the weight of tomorrow. The scene widens to the landscape beyond the camp. Tracks cross damp earth near the river. Hoof marks, paw prints, and human footprints pressed into mud. You crouch and touch one track lightly, feeling its edges. It is fresh enough to hold a little water, which means the animal passed not long ago. Someone points, not with urgency, but with quiet certainty. The group's attention shifts, like birds turning together. Hunting here is not constant violence. It is planning, walking, watching, and waiting. A thrown spear is only the final moment of many careful hours. Hunger is steady, not dramatic, and it teaches patience better than any lesson. Later, the camera follows you along a low ridge. The sun is higher, but still weak, and the wind carries a taste of snow from somewhere unseen. People speak softly, in short phrases, in looks, in gestures. The group is small, perhaps 20 to 40 people, shaped by families, friendships, and necessity. Children move between adults like warm sparks, briefly bright, then quiet again. An older hunter pauses to tighten a thong on a spear thrower, fingers practiced, calm. This world is not lonely, it is intimate. Your life is braided into other lives. When someone is ill, the camp slows. When someone is skilled, the whole group benefits. Survival is shared work. The shot settles on a meal near the fire. Meat roasts slowly, fat hissing as it drips onto coals. The smell is rich and grounding. A piece is passed hand to hand and someone tears it with careful teeth, then offers a smaller portion to a child. There is no endless abundance. Every bite is remembered by the body. Alongside the meat there are gathered foods, dried berries, roots, maybe crushed seeds, each one carried and prepared with quiet attention. An animal hide is laid out nearby, and tools are placed on it neatly, not scattered. Order is not luxury. It is calm control in a world that does not guarantee safety. Night arrives early, and the darkness feels thick beyond the circle of firelight. The sky is crowded with stars, sharper than most modern nights. The group gathers close, shoulders touching, warmth shared. Someone hums softly, a sound without words, and it settles into the quiet like breath. A hand turns a small carved object, bone shaped into a simple curve, over and over, the texture smooth against skin. This is not a stage performance. It is a habit of comfort, a way to mark time when time has no numbers. In the glow, faces look calmer, almost modern, lit from below. Sleep comes in pieces, but it comes. Time drifts forward to a colder stretch of years. The climate is tightening. Winter feels longer, and the distance between herds grows. The camera holds on a pale morning where ice fringes the river in thicker sheets. You wake with stiffness in your fingers. Someone blows gently into cupped hands, then rubs them, then reaches toward the fire's last warmth. A thin crust of snow has formed on the shelter roof overnight. It slides off in a soft hush when the hide is shaken. Decisions are made quietly. Move today or wait. Follow the river or cross the ridge. In this world, choosing wrong is not dramatic, just costly. The group learns to read small signs like writing. You walk along a game trail through sparse trees. The air smells of resin and cold soil. Ahead, the group pauses, and the camera drops into a close-up. A cluster of footprints, human, not yours. The edges are sharp. Someone touches the print, then lifts their fingers to feel the wind. Another person scans the tree line. Encounters with other groups can mean trading, sharing information, or careful distance. No one rushes. A small pouch is adjusted at a waist, the leather creaking softly. When the other group appears, it is not a sudden clash. It is a slow reveal. Figures in furs, faces attentive, bodies relaxed but ready. A few words are exchanged. Hands show empty palms. Tension eases by degrees. The scene shifts to a calm meeting place near water. People sit on stones warmed by weak sun. A bundle is opened. Dried meat, a piece of amber-colored resin, a sharpened blade wrapped in hide. Another bundle reveals shells, carried far from any sea, their edges smoothed by travel. Trade here is not just objects, it is connection. News travels with people, where herds moved, where ice is thin, where a river is blocked. A child watches closely as an adult demonstrates a knot, fingers looping sinew with quiet skill. Someone laughs softly at a small mistake, then corrects it. In these moments, the world feels wider, less heavy. You are not the only ones living under this sky. Later, you are back in your own camp, and the focus returns to daily work. A fire is rebuilt carefully, kindling arranged so air can move through it. The sound of flint striking is small but steady. Someone chips bone into a point, the shavings falling like pale curls. Another person rubs ochre between fingers, red dust gathering in the creases of skin. A hide bag is checked, tools counted without counting out loud. A child practices throwing a small stick, missing, then trying again. Persistence, quiet and constant. This is how skill is made. Repetition, observation, and time. Nothing is rushed. Each task fits into the day like a smooth stone fits into a palm. The camera follows you to water. The river runs dark and slow, and the air near it feels colder. You kneel and dip a container, the surface trembling and then settling. A fish flashes briefly beneath the water, silver and quick. Nearby, someone has laid stones in a rough line, guiding water into a shallow trap. It is simple, and it works. Along the bank, reeds whisper in a light wind. A close-up catches a hand wiping moisture from a wooden bowl, fingers moving slowly. Clean water matters. It keeps bodies steady. It prevents illness that can spread quietly through a small group. In this world, health is not a private matter. It is part of everyone's safety. As the day fades, you return to the shelters. Someone repairs a tear with a bone needle, face calm in the firelight. Another sharpens a blade with a softer stone, the sound like a muted rasp. Children are guided into the warmest place, fur arranged over them with practiced care. A person sits apart for a moment, staring into the coals, and you can feel thought moving behind their eyes. There is no written philosophy here, but there is reflection. People notice patterns. They remember losses. They adjust plans. The human mind does not wait for civilization to become complex. It is already complex, even here, even now, warmed by a small fire against a huge night. In the distance, an animal calls, low, heavy, not close, but close enough to recognize. The group becomes quiet in a way that is immediate and shared. Someone stands and listens, posture relaxed but alert. A spear is moved slightly, not raised, simply made ready. The camera holds on a close detail. A child's fingers curling around a strip of fur, breath slow, eyes wide but not panicked. Predators exist here as neighbors, not monsters. Wolves, big cats in some regions, bears in others, each with its own habits. Survival means knowing those habits and respecting them. The group's calm is not denial. It is experience, shaped by many nights of listening. When sleep comes, it comes with awareness. The fire is banked, not extinguished. Coals covered so they last. Smoke thins and drifts out through a small gap, carrying the smell of warmth into the cold air. The camera lingers on a face in half light, eyes closed, breath steady. Outside, the stars remain sharp, and the wind moves across the land in slow waves. Somewhere, ice shifts on the river with a faint crack. Time does not feel like a line here. It feels like a circle, waking, walking, working, eating, resting, repeating. And within that circle, you are not just surviving. You are learning a way of being that fits the world as it is. Time drifts deeper into understanding, and the scene widens to the idea of cavemen itself. Many people in this era live in the open, in shelters, in valleys and near rivers. Caves are used too, but often as temporary shelter, storage, meeting place, or something more private and meaningful. You approach a limestone cliff as evening cools, your footsteps quiet on rocky ground. The entrance is dark, and the air inside is still, carrying a faint smell of damp stone. A torch is lit, flame small but steady, and the light makes the walls glow in warm tones. The camera follows the torchlight inward, and the world changes from wind and sky to hush and shadow. Inside the cave, sound becomes soft and close. Water drips somewhere far back, a slow, patient rhythm. Your breath is warmer here, and it fogs faintly in the torchlight. On the wall, shapes begin to appear. Lines, curves, animals emerging from stone. This is not imagination without skill. It is observation made permanent. In places like Chauvet, around 36,000 years ago, people painted lions and rhinos with confident lines. In places like Lascaux, around 17,000 years ago, horses and bulls seem to move in firelight. The camera settles on a hand touching the rock gently, not smearing, just feeling. A person mixes ochre and charcoal, then pauses, listening to the cave's quiet, as if asking permission. The scene holds on the act of painting. A torch is wedged into a crack, and its flame flickers, making shadows breathe. Someone blows pigment through a hollow bone, creating a soft cloud of color that settles onto the wall. Another uses a finger to blend a line, smoothing it into a curve that becomes a shoulder, a flank, a horn. The smell of smoke and mineral dust fills the air. A close-up catches a small smear of red on a knuckle. This work is careful, but not nervous. It feels practiced, and it feels communal. A child watches, chin on knees, learning without words. The images are not decoration. They are memory, teaching, maybe ritual, ways to hold the living world still for a moment. When you step back out of the cave, night has settled. The cold touches your face again, and the wind feels louder after the silence of stone. The group returns to the fire, and someone carries a small lamp made of hollowed stone, a wick of moss or plant fiber glowing with animal fat. The light is soft, steady, and intimate. This technology, controlled flame in a portable form, changes how night feels. It allows work, care, and quiet conversation beyond the reach of the main fire. A person checks the lamp and adjusts the wick with a careful pinch. The smallest inventions matter here. They stretch the day, soften darkness, and make the world feel more manageable. The camera follows the making of a spear. A long shaft of wood is straightened, heated gently and bent, then cooled. A stone point is fitted with resin and sinew, then bound tight with careful wraps. The smell of pine resin is sharp and clean. A close-up shows fingers testing the binding, pressing and releasing, satisfied when it does not shift. Nearby, someone shapes antler into a barbed point for fishing, the pale material scraping softly under a tool. These objects look simple until you understand what they carry. Knowledge of materials, of animals, of force and balance. This is not random trial. It is accumulated skill, carried across generations by watching and doing. In a world without written instructions, hands become libraries. You move with a group across open ground, and the camera widens to show the rhythm of travel. People carry packs, infants, bundles of hides, tools wrapped to protect their edges. Footsteps make a soft crunch on frost. Someone pauses to adjust a strap, the leather creaking quietly. Another person shares a piece of dried meat, offered without ceremony. The group knows when to slow, when to speed up, when to stop. They read weather in the shape of clouds and the feel of wind. They read animals in scattered droppings, broken twigs, distant movement. This is what it is really like, a long attention to the world. You are constantly gathering information, but not with anxiety, more like breathing. At midday, the camera settles on a small moment of care. A person sits near the fire, holding a foot close to the warmth. The skin is cracked from cold, and the toes are rubbed gently, as if to bring them back to life. Another person offers a piece of softened hide as a wrap, and it is accepted with a quiet nod. Someone else is coughing lightly, and a warm drink, water heated with herbs or bark, steam rising in faint threads, is placed into their hands. Paleolithic life includes injury and illness. It also includes help. Archaeology shows healed bones, people who lived after serious injuries, meaning others fed them, protected them, kept them alive. The camera lingers on that truth. Survival is not just strength, it is care, repeated. As evening returns, the group gathers and stories begin. Not formal speeches, just remembered events, small jokes, warnings turned into tales. A laugh is brief, then fades into quiet. A close-up catches someone tracing a line in the dirt with a stick, illustrating a place, a route, a river bend. Children listen with half-lidded eyes, already drifting. Above, the sky deepens, and the cold returns more sharply. The fire's warmth is precious, but not endless. Someone feeds it carefully, not wasting fuel. The night feels both familiar and immense. This is your world. Close faces, shared heat, and a horizon that never truly stops. Time drifts into daily life, and the camera settles on a morning that feels ordinary. The group wakes before the sun fully clears the hills. Frost glitters on grass. Smoke rises as the fire is coaxed back to life. A person stirs embers with a stick, listening for the soft crackle that means warmth is returning. Another shakes out a fur cloak, sending tiny white crystals into the air. Children stretch and blink, faces calm, hair tousled. The day begins with small routines, checking tools, sharing food, planning movement. Nothing here feels like a heroic saga. It feels like work that must be done, and a quiet pride in doing it well. The camera holds on a simple act. Someone ties a cord, then double-checks the knot, because today's walk will be long. The scene shifts to gathering. You move through low shrubs and sparse trees, eyes scanning for edible plants. Fingers brush leaves, testing texture, remembering what is safe. A basket made of woven fiber rests on an elbow, light but sturdy. The air smells of damp earth now, less sharp than the open plain. Someone kneels and digs carefully for roots, loosening soil with a tool, then lifting the plant without breaking it. A child holds up a small find, berries dried on a twig, and an adult smiles, then gently corrects, showing which ones are best. These moments are quiet education. Gathering is not lesser than hunting. It is steadier, more reliable, often the difference between hunger and enough. The camera lingers on the basket, filling slowly, one careful choice at a time. Later, you return to camp, and the focus moves to making. A person sits with a hide stretched over a frame, scraping and rubbing until it softens. The sound is rhythmic, almost like rain. Another shapes wood with a stone tool, curls falling onto their lap. The light is pale and slanting, warming the hands while leaving the air cool. A close-up shows a needle being threaded, sinew pulled through with a slow, careful tug. Someone else is repairing a net or cord, fingers quick but calm. The group's work is not a blur of hardship. It is competence. In a world without stores or spare parts, making and fixing is how you stay steady. Every object has a story of hands and time. The camera shifts to play, gentle and brief. Children chase one another around the shelters, feet making soft thuds on packed earth. Their laughter is small, then quiets as an adult calls them closer. A simple game begins, throwing small stones at a target, testing aim and patience. A close-up catches a child's tongue pressed to their lip in concentration. Adults watch with calm approval, because play here is also practice. It teaches balance, coordination, attention. Nearby, someone braids hair, fingers moving through strands with familiarity. Another person rubs ochre onto leather, making it more water-resistant, tinting it warm red. The day holds both work and small softness. Even in hard climates, people find moments that are simply human. As afternoon fades, the camera moves outward to the horizon, and subtle foreshadow enters with the wind. Clouds gather in layered bands. The air cools faster than expected. Someone pauses mid-task and looks up, eyes narrowing slightly. A bird flight shifts direction, low and fast. These are not omens in a dramatic sense. They are information. A decision forms. Pack sooner, move to better shelter, conserve energy. A close-up shows hands tightening a bundle, cord pulled snug with a quiet grunt. Another person checks the firewood stack, counting pieces without counting. In the distance, a herd moves, not panicked, just migrating with the season. The world is changing, and you change with it, because staying still can be the most dangerous choice. The scene shifts to a river crossing. Water runs dark, edges rimmed with thin ice that cracks softly under a thrown stone. The group chooses a shallow place, stepping carefully from rock to rock. Someone carries a child, arm firm and steady. A bundle is lifted high to keep it dry. The sound of water is constant, a calm rush that hides smaller noises. You feel cold seep through your footwear, then numbness, then a need to move faster. On the far side, people pause to warm their feet, stamping lightly, rubbing hands together. The camera drops into a close detail, a toe flexing inside a hide boot, checking for feeling. Survival is often this simple: staying dry, staying warm, staying together. Evening returns, and the group finds shelter in a low hollow, protected from wind. A fire is built with careful layers. Sparks rise and vanish into dusk. Someone sets stones around the flames to hold heat. Another lays out hides for sleeping, smoothing wrinkles with a flat palm. Food is prepared slowly. Meat is sliced, cooked, shared. A small pouch of dried berries is opened, and the scent is faintly sweet. A close-up catches someone wiping grease from their fingers onto a scrap of hide. Not out of cleanliness alone, but because fat is valuable and nothing is wasted. Conversation is low. The day's work settles into tiredness, but not despair. It feels like the calm weight of effort and the relief of making it to night. As darkness deepens, the camera holds on the fire's edge. Coals glow red, then dim, then glow again as a stick shifts. Smoke moves upward in a thin ribbon. Someone watches the flames for a long moment, face soft, eyes reflecting light. In the distance, wind crosses the plain like a slow breath. A child sleeps, mouth slightly open, wrapped tightly. An adult adjusts the wrap without waking them, fingers gentle. This is where the idea of caveman often becomes cartoonish in modern minds. But the real scene is quieter. A small community protecting its warmth and its young, using knowledge and habit, not brute strength. You are not living in constant drama. You are living in careful continuity, and that continuity is precious. Time drifts toward the central turning point, and the air grows colder across many years. The camera opens on a landscape that feels stripped down. Trees are fewer. The horizon is brighter, wider, and the wind has more space to run. This is the approach to the last glacial maximum, roughly between about 26,500 and 19,000 years ago, when ice sheets expand and climates tighten. You feel it in small ways first. Thinner herds, longer walks, more time spent gathering fuel. A close-up catches fingers rubbing together to bring back warmth, skin dry and cracked. Someone checks a fur seam, making sure it closes well. The world is not ending, but it is narrowing, and the group must adapt without delay. The scene shifts to preparation. A shelter is reinforced, hides layered thicker, edges weighted with stone. The sound of wind is louder now, pressing against everything. People work close together, sharing body heat even while moving. Someone naps flint quickly, producing new blades before the weather worsens. Another person dries meat over low smoke, watching carefully so it does not spoil. A child is guided to gather small twigs, learning which ones catch flame easily. The camera lingers on a hand, testing a bundle of tinder, feeling its dryness. These are not grand plans written down. They are small, repeated choices that add up to survival. In harsher times, a mistake can't be argued with. It simply costs you. Now the camera follows the group on a migration. The ground is harder, the air thinner and colder. Breath clouds in front of faces. Packs are heavier, filled with tools and dried food. People move with steady pace, not fast, conserving energy. A close-up catches a strip of leather cutting into a shoulder, and someone shifts it, easing the pressure without stopping. Somewhere in the distance, ice gleams faintly on high ground, like a slow, pale wall. The group aims for a known place, a sheltered valley, a cave with less wind, a river bend where animals pass. Knowledge of the land becomes even more valuable now. Memory becomes a survival tool. The world feels bigger and less forgiving, but you keep moving, because movement is your answer. You reach a refuge, a cave entrance that opens into still air, protected from the worst wind. Inside, the temperature is steadier, cold but not biting. The floor is dry enough for bedding. A fire is built, and its first warmth feels like relief in the chest. Someone places stones near the flame to store heat. Another hangs damp clothing close enough to dry, far enough not to burn. The camera settles on a close detail. A child's hands held near the fire, palms open, fingers slowly uncurling. Outside, the world remains harsh and bright with frost. But here, there is calm. In this season, caves and sheltered places become more important, not as permanent identity, but as strategy. The caveman image comes from moments like this, when stone offers shelter and time can slow. Days pass in a quieter rhythm. The group ventures out for short trips, returning quickly to warmth. Food is rationed with calm fairness. A person divides meat into portions, eyes steady, hands precise. Another checks a storage pouch, making sure it stays dry. The camera lingers on the smell of smoke that settles into hair and fur, becoming familiar. Someone tells a story softly, voice low, as if not to wake the cave itself. Outside, storms move across the land, and the world feels far away beyond the entrance's pale light. This is deep calm with an edge. Not panic, just awareness that resources must last, and that the next good hunt may not come soon. The group holds steady by holding together. One morning, the camera follows you outside into a clear, bitter cold. Snow has fallen lightly. Tracks cross it. Reindeer, maybe, heading toward a distant ridge. The group prepares for a hunt. Spear points are checked, bindings tightened. Someone rubs resin onto a seam to keep moisture out. A close-up catches a person's lips forming a slow breath, then stopping, listening. Sound carries differently in cold air, further, sharper. The hunt begins as a long walk, not a rush. You move low, using small rises in the land for cover. The herd is found, and the group's focus tightens like a knot being pulled. In such climates, a successful hunt is not triumph, it is stability. It means more nights of warmth, more time to care for each other, more chance for children to grow. As the turning point nears, the camera widens to show the broader shift. Ice Age pressure changes where humans can live. Some regions become too cold, too dry, too empty of game. People cluster in refuges, southern valleys, coastal edges, places with reliable water. These movements are slow, over generations, not dramatic marches, but they reshape culture. Styles of tools spread, stories travel. Partnerships form between groups that might once have kept distance. A close-up shows two adults exchanging a small piece of worked bone, a gift that is also a bond. In harder times, connection becomes a resource. The central event is not one explosion or battle. It is climate itself tightening, forcing humans to become even more cooperative, more inventive, and more aware of change. The scene lingers on a quiet winter evening inside the refuge. The firelight is low and steady. Someone paints a small mark on a piece of bone. Simple lines, a pattern remembered. Another person repairs a tool with patient hands, not wasting motion. A child sleeps with a hand resting on a fur wrap, fingers curled as if holding warmth. Outside, wind moves across snow, and the entrance glows faintly with moonlight. You can feel how close life is to its edges here, and yet how calm the group remains within those edges. This is not a life of constant fear. It is a life of constant attention, balanced by moments of softness. The world is hard, but not empty. It is full of meaning, because you must read it to live. Time drifts forward again, and the climate begins to loosen. The ice retreats slowly, and new plants return to places that were bare. The camera opens on a valley where grass is taller, and the air smells a little richer, less dry. The group moves with cautious curiosity into new ground. A close-up shows a hand brushing fresh leaves, testing their texture, recognizing change. Animals follow the returning growth. Herds shift routes. Humans follow too, but now there is more choice. Life is still demanding, but the tightest pressure has eased. This shift becomes its own turning point, the world opening again after long narrowing. People adapt once more, not by inventing a new kind of humanity, but by being what they already are: flexible, observant, and social. The camera settles on evidence of earlier neighbors. Neanderthals, who lived in parts of Europe and Western Asia for hundreds of thousands of years, and who disappear from the record by around 40,000 years ago. Their story is not a simple defeat or replacement. It is complex. Climate stress, small populations, competition, and some interbreeding with modern humans. You do not feel this as a headline. You feel it as distance. Unfamiliar tool styles found at an old site, an abandoned shelter, a silence where another group once lived. A close-up shows a finger tracing an old hearth stain on stone, charcoal long gone, the shape remaining. The deep past is not empty, it is layered. And even in your own time, you are living atop earlier lives, whether you know it or not. As the years pass, the camera returns to art and meaning. People continue to paint, carve, and mark objects with patterns that matter to them. Caves hold images that will last longer than any spoken story. Tools become more refined. Tiny blades set into wood or bone. Barbed points for fishing. Careful clothing for changing weather. A person holds a carved figurine in their palm, small and warm from their skin, then tucks it away. Another draws a line in dirt to explain a route, turning landscape into shared understanding. These are the roots of later culture, but they are also simply human life in the moment. You are not waiting for history to begin. You are already in it, even if no one will write your name. The camera shifts to a later time, closer to 12,000 years ago. As the last ice age ends and the Holocene begins, the world becomes warmer, wetter in many places, and forests expand. Big animals like mammoths and woolly rhinos fade from many regions, some disappearing entirely. This change is not a single day. It is a long transformation that alters diets, tools, and travel routes. A close-up shows a hunter watching a smaller herd than expected, eyes steady, mind adjusting. People hunt more varied animals, fish more, gather more plant foods. Camps may stay longer in one place when resources are stable. The edges of a new way of life are forming, not as a sudden invention, but as a slow response to a changing world. Now the camera zooms out to the broader legacy. The old stereotype of a caveman suggests constant grunting struggle. But the archaeological record shows creativity, planning, and deep social life. People made beads, traded materials across long distances, cared for the injured, and painted with astonishing skill. They understood stone, fire, animal behavior, and weather in ways modern life rarely demands. A close-up shows a hand pressing a bead onto a cord, then sliding it along, satisfied with the fit. Another hand pats down ash to preserve coals for morning. These are small acts, but they hold a larger truth. Humans have always been builders of calm inside uncertainty. Civilizations later will add walls, laws, and writing. But the core ability, making a livable life with others, already exists here. The scene shifts gently to how this past reaches you now. In a museum, under soft lighting, a stone blade rests behind glass. Its edge is still sharp enough to catch a highlight. Nearby, a photograph shows cave paintings, animals frozen in a moment of torchlight that has been gone for thousands of years. People walk slowly, reading labels, speaking in whispers. A child presses a palm near the glass, imagining the tool in a real hand. The camera drops into a close detail, the tiny ripple marks on flint, the scars of each strike. This is the quiet bridge between worlds. The people of the Paleolithic are not distant curiosities. They are family, deep in time. Their lives shaped your world, not through grand announcements, but through continuity. Return to the ancient landscape one more time, and the camera holds on a dawn that feels gentle. The group wakes, the fire revived, smoke lifting into cool air. A person steps outside and looks across the valley, eyes narrowing at the light. Birds move between branches. The world feels less harsh than before, but still alive with uncertainty. Someone smiles briefly at a child's sleepy face, then turns back to practical tasks. A close-up shows fingers tightening a strap, then releasing it, satisfied. Life remains built from small actions. This is what it was really like. Not a single dramatic ordeal, but a steady stream of attention, work, and warmth shared. You survive not by being fearless, but by being aware. You survive by belonging. And finally, step back to see the whole arc. A human life without cities, without written history, without metal or machines, yet full of planning, care, and meaning. You wake in cold air and learn the day's weather by feeling it on your face. You shape stone into tools, hides into warmth, fire into safety. You watch animals and follow them, not with domination, but with understanding. You gather around a flame and tell stories that keep people close. You adapt as the world shifts, ice advancing, ice retreating, carrying knowledge forward like a small ember protected in cupped hands. Under wide skies, you are not primitive. You are human, doing what humans do, making life possible. Let your thoughts drift now, gently, through what you have seen. The cold plain at dawn, the soft crack of flint, the warmth of a fire that steadies the night, the quiet care of hands sewing a seam, sharing food, adjusting a child's wrap, the cave's still air, and the slow glow of torchlight on painted stone, the long, patient changes of climate, tightening and loosening, shaping where people walk and how they live. These moments soften as they blend together, not as a harsh struggle, but as a calm rhythm. Wake, work, listen, rest. In this quiet, the past feels less like a distant world and more like a deep foundation under your feet. Return now to your own room, to the quiet around you. The air here is steady, the darkness familiar, and the sounds are small, perhaps a distant hum, a soft creak, or only your breathing. Outside, night holds its own wide sky, but it does not demand you travel or hunt or keep a fire alive. You are safe. The old world of the Paleolithic can settle gently behind you, like a story told at the edge of a warm flame, then allowed to fade into sleep. Let your body loosen, one slow breath at a time. Let your thoughts grow lighter. Time keeps moving, calm and patient, and you can rest.